Welcome to Retro America. Close your eyes for a moment and let yourself drift back, not into a dream, but into a memory. Imagine the streets of yesterday, children riding bikes on sidewalks, neighbors waving from porches, radios humming from open windows. Homes weren't just buildings back then. They were anchors, not just homes, but landmarks of comfort, of family, of Sunday dinners and summer evenings. Some of those houses still stand, others live only in memory. But all of them tell a story about how America grew, how families dreamed, and how design shaped the rhythm of everyday life. Tonight, we'll walk together through 11 forgotten house styles, not in silence, but in vivid detail. I want you to picture the walls, the roofs, the furniture, the people who lived inside them. Maybe you even lived in one of these yourself, or knew a neighbor who did. So let's begin our nostalgic walk, house by house. Number 1, the Shotgun House. Our first stop takes us to the humid streets of New Orleans around the early 1900s. Imagine rows of houses standing side by side, so narrow you could almost stretch your arms across the entire front. This is the Shotgun House, usually just 12 feet wide, but stretching far back, one room after another in a straight line. The front door led into the parlor, then to a bedroom, another bedroom, a kitchen, and finally a back door leading to a little yard. No hallways, just a single-file journey through the home. They say the name came from the idea that if you fired a shotgun through the front door, the blast would travel clean out the back without hitting a wall. But beyond the folklore, these homes were practical. They allowed breezes to flow straight through in the sweltering Louisiana heat, and their high ceilings helped cool the air. On the porches, families sat in rocking chairs, waving to neighbors and playing music. Jazz itself was born on these streets, in homes just like this. In fact, Jelly Roll Morton, one of the great pioneers of jazz, grew up in a shotgun house. You can almost hear the sound of his piano spilling into the street at dusk. The homes were simple. Wooden shutters, small front gardens, painted in cheerful colors, but they carried a unique kind of charm. They brought neighbors close, made streets feel alive, and gave even working families a place of pride. Can you picture it? The glow of kerosene lamps through lace curtains, the hum of cicadas in the sticky night air, children running barefoot through narrow rooms while a porch fan stirs the heavy air. That was life in a shotgun house. Number 2, Sears Kit Homes. Now, let's leave New Orleans behind and step onto a train platform in 1920. The whistle blows, and from one of the freight cars, workers unload dozens of crates. Inside those crates, a dream. The Sears Kit Home. Between 1908 and 1940, Sears, Roebuck & Co. sold entire houses through their catalog. For just a few $100s, a family could order a home in the mail. Every board, every nail, every shingle, pre-cut, numbered, and ready to be assembled. There were over 400 models to choose from. Some celebrities even lived in them. President Dwight D. Eisenhower's childhood home in Kansas was likely a mail-order kit. The poet Carl Sandburg grew up in one as well. These weren't second-rate homes. They were sturdy, modern, and often included indoor plumbing and heating. Luxuries for the time. Picture a family in the 1920s, unloading their crates in the summer sun. Neighbors gather to help, hammers ring out, sawdust fills the air, and slowly, beam by beam, a house rises. By autumn, a family sits at their dining table, eating supper in a home they built with their own hands. Even today, more than 70,000 Sears homes still stand across America. Many owners don't even realize their house arrived by train a century ago. Can you imagine walking up the porch of one right now? The wood still solid, the windows glowing with evening light, the sense of history quietly built into every board. Number 3. The Tudor Revival. From practicality, let's move into fantasy. It's the 1920s and America is roaring. Jazz clubs, speak easy. Model T cars rattling down new suburban streets. In those suburbs, a new house style appears. One that looks like it leaped out of an English storybook. The Tudor Revival homes, steeply pitched roofs, dark wooden beams crisscrossing over light stucco walls, tall chimneys, and arched doorways. These homes felt whimsical, almost medieval, but they offered comfort and security in a changing world. Step inside and you'd find stone fireplaces, leaded glass windows scattering sunlight in diamond patterns, and heavy beams running across ceilings. Families loved them because they felt solid, safe, as though living in a castle built for modern life. Walt Disney himself owned a Tudor-style home in Los Angeles. Its fairy tale look even mirrored the fantasy castles he would later bring to life in his films. For many, Tudors symbolized stability during the uncertain years between World War I and the Great Depression. Imagine yourself there, the smell of wood smoke rising from a stone hearth, the sound of a gramophone playing softly in the corner, the diamond pane glass turning sunlight into jewels across the floor. Outside, ivy climbs slowly up the beams, as if nature itself wants to be part of the story. The Tudor Revival wasn't just a house. It was an escape, a place where every day felt like stepping into a fairy tale. So far, we've visited 3 very different homes. The narrow but lively shotgun house, the DIY wonder of the Sears kit home, and the storybook charm of the Tudor Revival. Each one unique, each one carrying its own piece of American memory. Number 4. Googie Homes. Now let's leap forward to the 1950s, an age of chrome, neon, and boundless optimism. Picture palm trees swaying over Los Angeles streets, diners glowing with starburst signs, and cars with fins parked outside pastel-colored motels. And then, look at the houses. Roofs slant sharply upward like the wings of a rocket. Walls of glass stretch from floor to ceiling, reflecting the night sky. Inside, a boomerang-shaped coffee table and turquoise vinyl couch sit beneath a glowing starburst clock. This is the Googie Home, a futuristic style born in post-war America, when the space race and atomic age shaped the way people dreamed. Inspired by car culture, science fiction, and bold commercial design, Googie Homes felt like spaceships ready to launch. Architects like John Lutner brought this style into neighborhoods of Los Angeles. Some of these homes were so daring that they later appeared in films, their silhouettes unforgettable against California sunsets. Imagine yourself standing inside one at night. Neon lights shimmer through the glass. The faint hum of a transistor radio drifts through the air, and outside the palm fronds cast dancing shadows on angled ceilings. For families of the 1950s, this wasn't just a home. It was a promise that the future had already arrived. Though few remain today, they carry the optimism of a time when Americans truly believed tomorrow was waiting right outside the door. Number 5. Craftsman bungalows. Now, let's slow down. From futuristic angles, we return to something handcrafted, close to the earth. The Craftsman bungalow. Born in the early 1900s as part of the arts and crafts movement, these homes rejected industrial excess. Instead, they embraced simplicity, honesty, and craftsmanship. Step onto the porch first. Wide and welcoming, supported by thick, tapered columns. Step inside and notice the low ceilings with exposed beams, the warm wood paneling, The built-in shelves and benches designed to make every inch useful. A stone fireplace anchors the living room. Stained glass windows scatter gentle colors across polished oak floors. In the dining room, a heavy wooden table invites family gatherings. These homes weren't just shelters, they were philosophies. That beauty could rest in usefulness, and every detail should serve both purpose and soul. Silent film stars in early Hollywood adored them. Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, and other actors lived in Craftsman neighborhoods. Their homes, symbols of California's new cultural life. Imagine yourself on a Craftsman porch at dusk, a rocking chair creaking softly beneath you, crickets humming in the garden. Inside, a Tiffany lamp glows across rows of books. The air feels steady, human, timeless. Craftsman bungalows remain among the most beloved of American house styles because they feel personal, as if built not just for living, but for living well. Number 6. Octagon Houses. Now, for something unusual. Imagine walking into a neighborhood in the 1850s and suddenly seeing it. A house with 8 sides. The Octagon House. Promoted by Orson Squire Fowler, a phrenologist and reformer, octagon houses were thought to be healthier. 8 walls meant more sunlight, more air circulation, and better efficiency. Fowler even claimed they could improve your well-being. Architecturally, they were fascinating. Many had spiral staircases, central cupolas, and rooms radiating outward like pie slices. Some were built from poured concrete, a novelty at the time. The famous showman P.T. Barnum once lived in a grand octagon house in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Visitors marveled at its eccentric form, wondering whether they were stepping into the future or into a curiosity cabinet. Imagine being inside one now. Each window offers a slightly different view. Sunlight enters from unusual angles, casting odd shadows across the floor. The air seems to flow differently, as if the house itself breathes, though the octagon fad faded quickly, too costly and strange for most builders. A few still stand today, preserved as landmarks of an age when people dared to experiment. Picture it once more. A spiral staircase winding upward, the creak of wooden steps, and light pouring down from a glass cupola above. The Octagon House may be rare, but it remains unforgettable. So far, we've stepped into the futuristic glow of Googie homes, the warm craftsmanship of bungalows, and the eccentric geometry of octagon houses. Each one carries its own spirit. Optimism, simplicity, curiosity. Number 7. Italian auntie villas. Now let's step back to the mid-1800s, when America was growing richer and families wanted homes that felt elegant and worldly. Picture a tall, narrow house painted in warm tones of ochre or brick red. Its windows are long and arched, often crowned with decorative hoods. Wide eaves stretch outward, supported by carved wooden brackets, and sometimes a square tower rises above it all, like something borrowed from the hills of Tuscany. This is the Italian auntie villa. From 1840 through the 1880s, Italianate homes became one of the most popular styles in America. They lined the streets of bustling cities, giving neighborhoods a sense of grace and refinement. Inside, parlors were filled with ornate moldings, tall ceilings, and marble fireplaces. Chandeliers sparkled above polished wood floors, and heavy drapes framed windows that looked out onto busy streets. Even writers and industrialists were drawn to them. Mark Twain's famous home in Hartford, Connecticut, though customized, carried clear Italianate influences with its tall windows and decorative flourishes. Wealthy families like the Vanderbilts also embraced Italianate mansions as symbols of taste and sophistication. Imagine walking into one on a rainy evening. The gaslights flicker, casting golden shadows across wallpaper patterned with vines. A piano sits in the corner, its notes lingering in the tall room. The sound of rain against the long windows feels almost like a lullaby. Italian aunties may not be as common today, but when you find one, it feels like a portal, a reminder of the time when Americans dreamed of Europe and brought a little piece of Italy home. Number 8, Ausonian Homes. Now, let us step into the vision of one of America's greatest architects, Frank Lloyd Wright. It's the 1930s, and Wright has grown tired of seeing only the wealthy live in his masterpieces. He dreams of creating homes for everyday families, homes that are simple, affordable, but still beautiful. The result? The Ausonian home. Step inside and you'll see something revolutionary. The house is single-story, with a flat roof that extends outward like a protective wing. Large windows erase the barrier between inside and outside, making gardens feel like part of the living room. The floors are warm, literally. Wright built radiant heating directly into the concrete slab, so the house feels comfortable even in winter. The rooms flow into one another with open plans, a sharp contrast to the closed rooms of earlier styles. Carports replace garages, built-in shelves eliminate clutter, and natural materials, wood, brick, stone, make the house feel rooted to the earth. Ausonian homes weren't just houses, they were philosophies. Wright believed good design should belong to everyone, not just the wealthy. And though only a few hundred Ausonian homes were ever built, their influence lives on in nearly every mid-century modern home that followed. Imagine yourself inside one now, sitting on a low sofa, sunlight pouring through glass walls onto a polished brick floor. Beyond the window, trees sway softly, their branches brushing against the glass. The whole house feels open, connected, alive. In a world of excess and ornament, Wright's Ausonians whispered something different. That beauty rests in simplicity, and nature is our greatest neighbor. Number 9, Saltbox Houses from Modern Visions. Let's step back to something older, much older. The colonial streets of 17th century New England. Here stands a house that looks almost lopsided at first glance. 2 stories in the front, but only 1 in the back, with a long sloping roof that runs down nearly to the ground. This is the Saltbox House. Its name comes from the wooden boxes that once held salt by the hearth. The roof's shape was said to resemble their simple, practical design. And like the boxes, these houses were built for use, not for show. The exterior was plain, wooden clapboards painted in earthy tones, small square windows, and a massive central chimney. Inside, low ceilings trapped heat, and the fireplace provided warmth for cooking and comfort. Salt boxes were sturdy. They resisted the heavy snows of New England winters, their long roofs letting ice and snow slide away. They were also economical. Families often added the sloping section onto an existing 2-story home, creating more room without rebuilding from scratch. Patriots and founders lived in them. Samuel Adams, one of the voices of the Revolution, grew up in a salt box in Boston. You can imagine him at a wooden desk, quill scratching parchment by the glow of a fire. Picture standing in one now. The scent of wood smoke fills the air. The beams are rough-hewn, the floors wide planks of pine. Outside, snow falls softly, but inside, the hearth glows, and voices of family echo in the warm light. The salt box is not grand, it is not whimsical, but it is enduring. A reminder of America's earliest resilience. We've now wandered through 3 more homes. The graceful Italianate villas, the visionary Ausonian homes, and the sturdy colonial salt box. Each one tells us something different about the people who built them. Their hopes, their values, their way of life. Number 10. Pueblo Revival Homes Now. Let's journey west, where the sun paints the earth in red and gold, and the air smells of sage after rain. Here stand the Pueblo Revival Homes. They were born in the 1920s. Inspired by Native American adobe dwellings and Spanish colonial missions. Their walls are thick and earthen, rounded at the corners, often built from adobe or stucco. Wooden beams, called vigas, jut outward, casting striped shadows against the walls. Inside, the rooms are cool, even in the blazing desert heat. Niches are carved into walls, holding pottery or religious icons. A kiva fireplace glows at the heart of the room, its flames crackling softly against adobe. The style became the soul of Santa Fe, New Mexico. So much so that even today, local laws encourage new buildings to carry the Pueblo look, keeping the city's character intact. Famous residents loved them too. Georgia O'Keeffe, the great painter of desert landscapes, lived in Pueblo-style homes at Ghost Ranch. She painted as the light shifted across adobe walls, her windows framing mesas and endless skies. Picture yourself inside one at dusk. The thick walls hold the day's warmth. Outside, the desert cools quickly, and stars spill across the sky in dazzling clarity. The fire crackles low, and the whole house feels like an extension of the earth itself. The Pueblo Revival whispered of timelessness, that our homes could be part of nature, not apart from it. Number 11. Victorian houses, and now, our last stop, perhaps the most iconic of all, the Victorian house. Step onto a quiet street in the late 1800s, tall homes rise. Painted in pastels, lavender, mint, rose, butter yellow, their steep gables, round turrets, and gingerbread trim make them look like doll houses for grown-ups. Inside, parlors glow with stained glass. Velvet drapes hang heavy across tall windows. Staircases curl upward like ribbons, creaking with each step. Chandeliers drip with crystal, gas lamps hissed softly, and patterned wallpaper covers every wall. Victorians were products of the industrial age. Every spindle, every carved bracket, every stained glass panel was made possible by new machinery. They were showcases of what industry could create. Ornate, complex, whimsical, writers and heiresses made them famous. Mark Twain lived in a Victorian in Hartford, filling it with books and laughter. Sarah Winchester turned her Victorian mansion into the legendary Winchester Mystery House, a labyrinth of staircases to nowhere, doors that open into walls, built out of superstition and sorrow. Imagine standing in one at twilight. The parlor smells of roses and old wood. The chandelier sways faintly above. Outside, fog curls around the turreted roof as if the house itself is breathing. Victorians may have been considered too much by the 20th century, but to us they remain enchanting. They are houses that tell stories not just with their walls, but with their very silhouettes. And so, our walk comes to an end. We've stepped through 11 doors, from the narrow shotgun porches of New Orleans, to the futuristic angles of Googie, to the ornate magic of Victorians. Each house was more than lumber and nails. Each one reflected the dreams, the struggles, the values of its time. Together, they are a gallery of American memory. Perhaps you once lived in a home like one of these. Perhaps you knew a neighbor or a grandparent who did. Or perhaps, as you've listened, you've found yourself drifting back to streets long gone, where every house carried its own smell, its own sound, its own rhythm of life. That's the power of nostalgia. It makes history feel alive again, not in textbooks, but in memories. If you've enjoyed this walk through time, I'd love for you to help keep these memories alive. Gently tap that like button. It lets me know you'd like more journeys like this. Leave a comment and share your own stories. Did you grow up in a Craftsman? Did you have a neighbor in a salt box? Or a grandmother in a Victorian? Your memories are part of this history too. And if you know someone who loves remembering the past, a sibling, a friend, an old neighbor, please share this video with them. And finally, if you want more stories of Americana, more walks through history, more gentle trips down memory lane, make sure to subscribe to Retro America. This channel is your place to remember, to step back into the golden years of American life, to feel the warmth of the past, and to bring it forward into today. So thank you for walking with me, house by house. The porches, the beams, the turrets, the towers, they live on in memory and in you. Until next time, this is Retro America.